Hello and welcome to episode 78 of the Giddy Knits podcast. As always, I'm Helen and I am coming to you from a very misty, very dreary Dundee in Scotland today. It is the 9th of November and anyone that is new and doesn't know who I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, and this is my knitting crafting podcast thing. I never know quite what to call it. Welcome. Hello. Let's start there, shall we? Welcome back, as always, to anyone that watches regularly, and hello to anyone that is new and checking things out for the first time. Details of where you can find me anywhere on the internet would have been seen on a slide just before I started talking, so you can always just rewind back to the beginning and find all of those details. They will also be linked down below in the drop down thingy under the video, as long with all the show notes, which will be there with links to places and people and things that I talk about, hopefully, as long as I've remembered to link everything. If I ever forget to link anything, or you can't access the show notes, or you miss something that I say, then feel free to get in contact. I like chatting to you. Right, what have I got for you this week? So I have got to start off with a little bit of an admin-y thing, just a little chat about make-alongs as always. I've got a couple of finished objects to share this week. I've got some works in progress to talk about. I've got a new cast on to talk about. And then I was going to have a little Make 9 check-in as well, which I will talk about a bit later on. And then we'll finish up with a tiny bit of shop news. Ouch, that cup of tea is still really, really hot. Which is good because it means I spent less time faffing getting ready for the podcast. Right, okay, so admin-y stuff just to start with. We have got one knit-along running, one make-along running currently, and that is the Giddy Yarns make-along. And as always, that is just an ongoing make-along, as long as whatever project you're making uses at least 50% of my yarn, of Giddy Yarns. Then you can enter it in, and I draw quarterly prizes from that as well. Just a little thank you back to all my lovely customers. And the next quarter prize will be at the end of the year, so I'll be drawing for prizes probably in January. Yeah, that's that one. Halloween make along, thank you to everyone that has got in contact with me for winning prizes for that. I'm so sorry if I haven't got back to you. I have seen your messages. It's just been a really, really, really busy week. We have had birthdays and we have had Advent chaos and all of those things. So it's just been a really crazy week this week. And I haven't had chance to get back to everybody and get all the prizes out. So prizes will be shipping out soon. So if you are worried that you had a prize and you haven't received it yet, then don't panic. I just haven't shipped it yet. They're all still sitting in this box right here. But I promise they will get out this week. Right, that's all the make-along stuff. So let's get into some knitting, shall we? Risk the too hot tea again. I finished 2 things this week. I know. What have I finished? I have finished a hat and a pair of socks. So I finished my Imply hat, which is this one here. And this was a pattern by Hunter Hammersman, with this absolutely gigantic cable. Do you know, this was so much fun to knit. I'm really enjoying cables at the moment. I've been working a lot of projects with cables in. I've got this one that I just finished, the cream tea socks that have got cables. My Agrin mitts that I cast on last week, they're cables. I'm quite enjoying cables at the moment. So yeah, I'm really pleased to have this finished. I haven't decided yet whether this is going to be a gift or whether I'm going to keep it to myself. I also need to find a pom-pom. I've seen a couple of potential pom-poms that I'm trying to decide on. A couple of people recommended a few places and I've completely forgotten them both, but I think the pom-pom that I like the look of was from the Crafty Bird on Etsy. She does some kind of rainbow pom-poms and it looked like I could see some that were kind of pink, yellow and orange, and I think that would be really good. They're faux fur pom-poms. The other option I'm looking at the moment is Jem, the little grey girl, stocks Toft pom-poms, and she's got some really bright new colours in, and there was a really, really bright pink one, and I think that could look quite fun as well. So I just need to have a little think and a little decide about which pom-pom I want. But it just about fits. I was a little bit worried with the sizing because it does say in the pattern that the cable is quite big, so it can it can suck it in a little bit more, if that makes sense. So you might need to go up an extra size, and I can't quite remember what size I knit, but yeah, I think it's fine. It covers my ears. That's the important bit. I haven't actually blocked this at all. And it might grow a little bit with blocking. So this is one that I may block and stick on a balloon or something like that, just to give it a little bit more growth, because it could do with a little bit more growth to it. But yeah, that is my hat. The yarn is my Merino DK, so it's 100% DK Merino, and it is in my Psychedelia colourway, which was the 1960s Nostalgia Club colourway. A few of the Nostalgia Club, the main skein colourways for the Nostalgia Club, are going to be making a comeback next year. This is one definitely I'd like to make into a regular colourway. I'm really pleased with how that one's knit up. Right, so that is that one. I'm losing my voice a little bit this week. And then the other finished object I've got is a pair of socks. I finished my summer holidays Cornish cream tea socks. Finally, we're only just starting to come into winter, you know, and I finished my summer socks. I don't know why it took me so long, but here they are. You will have seen these a lot, so I'm sure you are sick of the pattern and very glad that I finally got them completed. So the pattern, as I've said a million times, is the cream tea socks, the Cornish cream tea socks by Helen Stewart, Curious Handmade. I'm just spinning the sock round on the sock blocker a second, so that you can see. There we go. So this is the pattern that works its way down the front of the sock. See if I can come in a bit closer there. So you've got just a tiny little cable down either side with some twisted stitches, and then a little bit of kind of lace work with this amazing gather in the middle. It was really, really, really fun pattern. And it is one of those patterns that I think it's like an 8-row repeat. So it got quite memorable quite quickly. Spin it back round again. I don't quite know why. I could just show you the other one, couldn't I? And the yarn, as you will know by now, this yarn is from the lovely Debbie at Down Sheepy Lane. And this is her, oh, see, I've forgotten the name of it again. Every time I forget the name of this one. It is, but I can't say it now. Botanical Garden Lilac. So there is Debbie's lovely label. And then this was the colourway. So Botanical Garden Lilac. And it was a merino nylon yarn. And I've got a reasonable amount left, actually, although this will probably get eaten up with a few Christmas swaps and things that I've got coming up. I need to make some minis for. But yeah, another pair of socks off the needles. I will talk about socks a little bit later when I'm talking about Make 9 as well. Did I say everything I needed to say about these? I don't know. I have been tucking away all of my new socks that I've finished this year. I have been tucking away in a box. I haven't worn any of them. And on the 1st of December, my plan is to open up the box and have lovely new socks for December. I don't know how many are in there, actually. There won't be 25 pairs. There won't be enough for every day in December. But then I wear my hand knit socks for 2 days in a row because they're wool and they don't smell and it's fine. Does anyone else do that? I've been following along the hashtag, the Show Off Your Woolly Socks 2020 hashtag on Instagram, and everyone's sharing pictures of their woolly socks every day. And I'm kind of like, well, I can only share mine every other day because I wear the same pair 2 days in a row. And then I start to worry that I'm really, really gross. But I'm sure other people do that too. They're wool. They don't smell. Yeah. Anyway, I don't wear like normal socks, like commercially bought socks that you buy in like clothes stores and stuff like that. I don't wear those 2 days in a row, just to clarify. Anyway, right, moving on. What else did I want to talk about? Works in progress. So I have got 3 works in progress, one of which I'm going to talk about very, very quickly. And that is my Dumpling Kitty, which has had very little progress, and in a slightly frustrating way. I picked this up to work on this the other day and I did one round, and then I read the next part of the instructions and it was like, put your eyes in. I was like, oh, bother, I haven't got any eyes. So I did one round on it, and then I have ordered some eyes from a seller on Etsy, some safety eyes, and they should be arriving this week, hopefully. So I will be able to carry on with that once I have put the eyes in. It says to put the eyes in and stitch the nose on next. But I'm really pleased with it. It will eventually balance out. And thank you to everyone that commented, and a couple of people gave me some good tips as well for working with the amigurumi, because if you're new, you'll know that this is my first attempt at anything kind of crochet crochet amigurumi. So yeah, I think my stitches probably aren't quite tight enough. There's probably going to be a few gaps in there. I'm working with DK yarn, and I'm using a 3mm crochet hook, so it should be creating quite a tight fabric, but we will have to see. But yeah, this is the Dumpling Kitty pattern, which is, oh, I don't have the information. Did I write it down last week? I did. It's a pattern by Sarah Sloyer. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And it's, yeah, going to be a really cute little kitten. I'm loving how this yarn's working up again. I said this yarn is from Mrs. Lamb's Yarns, and this was for her Chinese Zodiac Club. And this was the tiger colourway. Right, so that's that one, which is definitely seeing some progress, but I'm now waiting for eyes. It's a strange thing to say, isn't it, when you're knitting something? I can't knit anything on it. I need to wait for the eyes to come. And then I've got two other works in progress. So this one is my Agrin mitts. I cast these on last week. And again, this is a free pattern by Marmia. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Apologies for that. It will be linked in the show notes. In fact, if I just show you this, free pattern, so I don't need to worry too much about not showing you the pattern. There you go. That's the name there. Marmia is how I would kind of say it. And I talked about this pattern last week and how it took a little bit of getting used to, because it's it's kind of one of those patterns that says, do this and do this at the same time, and while you're doing this, do that as well. Yeah, it was a little bit unclear. It took a little bit of really reading the pattern to work out what I was doing. But I have one finished mitt. So let me pop it on. I haven't woven the ends in, as you will see by the numerously trailed ends. But there we go. I have one finished mitt. It's a ribbed mitten. And it's then got this fun cable up the hand, which I really enjoyed, and then the thumb is just stocking stitched with a little bit of rib on the end. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with how this came out. I'm really happy with this colourway as well. I really enjoyed this. The yarn I'm using is my yarn. Again, this is another Nostalgia Club colourway. This is my 1980s colourway, Shell Suits, and I'm really pleased. I used the Stellina version. It's just whatever I kept for myself at the end of the club. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. These are going to be a gift for Jasper's nursery teacher. So I need to get the second one done. I haven't cast the second one on yet. But this didn't take me long, so hopefully I will be able to kind of get through that quite quickly. Right. Trying to look at what I've got in here. I've got so much yarn in here. I did split the ball into two, thinking I would do them two at a time, and then I didn't do them two at a time in the end. I just did the one. So I'm not 100% sure whether I've got enough left in this half of the ball. I should be able to get a pair of mitts out of 50 grams, which would mean that I could actually make myself a pair or make somebody else a pair using the other half. And then I've also got this yarn in here. This is my Serenity colourway. Oh, this colourway makes me so sad. It shouldn't make me sad. It's a lovely colourway. But I lost the recipe. I really like the colourway, and I've completely lost the recipe. I don't know where I've written it down. I dyed it up right in the midst of lockdown, and everything was just a bit chaotic, and I obviously just never transferred the recipe into the notebooks that I keep all my recipes in, so I have lost the recipe. So if anybody's got a skein of this, then you're very lucky, because it's not going to be able to make a comeback. Anyway, right, I'm rambling again. Let's move on. I have another work in progress to talk about, and this is one that has not seen the light of day in quite a long while. But I was looking back through my Make 9 and my list of Make 9 and all my plans for the year. Who had plans for 2020, hey? I don't think anyone's 2020 plans went to plan. Anyway, and I was chatting to my lovely friend Jem just over WhatsApp the other night, and she was saying that she's got garments that she needs knit, and I was like, I haven't finished a single garment this year. I just haven't really worked on garments at all. It's been very much about small projects for me, casting on big projects and finishing small projects. And I kind of understand why. I think with everything that's gone on, with everything that 2020 has thrown at the world, I've needed small projects with kind of that instant gratification kind of feeling, really. And also I've worked on blankets quite a lot this year too. So although they're not small projects, they're quite comforting projects, aren't they? So this has not seen a lot of love, but we have decided that we're going to encourage each other to try and get a garment finished by the end of the year. And so I have picked up my campsite cardie, living in a bag by the aforementioned, is that the right word? I'm quite a simply spoken person, so when I use big words, I get very worried that I've used the wrong word. Anyway, living in a bag by the lovely Gem that I just mentioned is my campsite cardie, and yeah, I was a lot further along with this than I thought I was. In my head, I had only just separated for the sleeves. But it turns out I'm actually about 5 inches beyond the sleeve separation. So that was a nice surprise when I picked this up yesterday. So if anyone doesn't know this pattern, the pattern is the Campsite Cardie, which is by Alicia Plummer. Got yarn everywhere. And it's a lovely cardigan pattern. So it's knit not in the round. It's a cardigan pattern, so you have purl rows. That's kind of what I'm trying to say, and it has this eyelet pattern that features, and the eyelets get closer and closer together the further down the body you get. I'm kind of one repeat into the second eyelet section, so my eyelets are starting to get more closer together, which you really can't see because it's rolling up. Anyway, there we go. So my eyelets are starting to get closer together now. And then you go into, and again, each section the eyelets get closer and closer together. So yeah, I was a bit further through it than I thought I was, which was a really nice surprise. And I'm hoping to get this out and work on it a little bit more. The yarn I'm using is Eden Cottage yarns. It's one of their more commercial yarns, if that makes sense. So it's Eden Cottage yarns. It's their Milburn DK yarn, and it is a BFL silk. This is 85% Blue-Faced Leicester, 15% silk, and it's a DK weight, as I said. And the colourway I'm using is Black Tulip. And it's absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to have a garment in this yarn. It's really, really soft. I think it's going to be really hard wearing because BFL is quite hard wearing and silk is quite hard wearing. So I think it's going to be a really comfy, hard wearing garment, and I just really want it finished so that I can wear it in the winter. I fully intend on doing full length sleeves, and it's just going to be great. I'm not going to put button bands on it. In fact, I don't think the pattern calls for button bands at all. I think the pattern just isn't open. I'm trying to see if I've got a pattern. I would show you the picture, but it's the picture of the back and it's black and white, but you can kind of see how the eyelets work. But yeah, anyway, I don't think the pattern calls for button bands. It's just an open fronted cardigan. But yeah, I'm really, really glad to have pulled this out because I haven't touched it in ages. There's a few projects like that haven't been touched in ages. My Vertices Unite as well. Really want to get back to that. I haven't touched my slip Stravaganza MCal, the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along in ages. I don't know. I've just needed, as I said, I've just needed smaller projects and simpler things. So that will get finished, but I've kind of given up the idea that I'm obviously not going to get it done within the MCal window because I think it's already finished and been announced. But I am enjoying it. I am enjoying the pattern. I love seeing people's finished objects. I think it's gorgeous and I can't wait to have a version of it. But it needs to be on my timescale. Right, moving on. I wanted to talk about 2 new cast-ons, one of which I can't actually show you, which is a little bit of a pain, but it is living in this bag, my Nightmare Before Christmas bag, and it is a hat. And I really can't show you at all because the yarn that I'm using is my yarn. Again, it's my DK yarn, but it is the colourway for the 1990s Nostalgia Club, which only shipped out last week, I think. So I know that there will be people out there who haven't received it yet, especially people in America. So I can't share it with you yet. As soon as I can check the tracking for the international orders for that and see that it's being delivered, then I will share it with you. But Arthur came up when I was packing the orders and he absolutely fell in love with the main colourway for this month. And he went back down to find his purse and came up with his purse and was like, "Mummy, can I buy that yarn? Can I buy that yarn from you?" And I was like, "You don't need to buy it. I can just knit you something with it." And he was like, "No, I've got to buy it." So he gave me 1p for a skein of DK yarn and then promptly asked me to make him a hat out of it. So it's Arthur's birthday at the end of this month, so I am making him a hat. I am knitting the Gathered hat by Tin Can Knits. So yeah, I can't show you it, but I have started it. As I said, I will show you as soon as I know that all the club yarn has been delivered this month. I will share it at the end of the month, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone, and I don't want to spoil the theme for anyone either, so I can't really say anything much about it. But I have also kind of cast on something else new. And again, this kind of links into my Make 9. Do you like my little bell? One of the things I wanted to do as part of my Make 9, which I will talk about properly at the end, was to create a Christmas garland using my advent calendar from last year. So I had an advent calendar from Spectrum Fibres last year. I also have one from Spectrum Fibres this year, which I'm very excited about. And my aim was to crochet up lots of little stars. So here they are. And create a garland. So I'm crocheting up a few extras because I've got some swaps that I'm doing, and I'd quite like to include a smaller garland in one of the swaps that I'm doing. But I'm going to do sort of two stars of each colour. See if I can find some of the other ones. They're all kind of shoved in this bag. This bag, by the way, I bought this last year. This is from Ellie at Craft House Magic, and this was one of her Christmas bags that she brought out last year, and I just thought it was so much fun. I mean, how much more Christmassy can you get than a Christmas stocking? So, oh look, there you go. There's another set there. And there's another set there. I've just tied them together in sets of 3 so that I know roughly what I've done. And is that it? Is that all I've done so far? I think that might be it. Yes, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colours done so far. And there they are. So my plan is, as I said, there's 24 colours, so I'm going to create 2 stars out of each colourway to create a really nice long garland, which I'm hoping will go on our Christmas tree. So that's my plan. So I have started doing these. I mean, these don't take long. I can quite happily get 6 of these done really easily in an evening. They're quite fun to just sit down and crochet up. Doesn't that look really pretty? I feel like I could just tie that up and hang it somewhere and it would be like a little decoration. Makes me think of a jellyfish. Anyway. Yeah, so that is my plan. I've got all the minis living in here. I knit a dust of snow. If you're new to the podcast and you haven't been following me for over a year, I knit a dust of snow out of my advent calendar from Spectrum Fibres last year. And these are kind of all the remains that I've got left. I think I haven't actually weighed how much I've got left from each colour, but I think I've probably got just under 10 grams of each colour left. It was a 20-gram advent calendar. And do you know, I've been popping in this bag the leftovers from the leftovers, if that makes sense. So I crocheted 3 stars out of this one, and then I've still got a good little amount of leftovers there. I need to weigh this and see how much there is. But I could do more. I could still get more out of it. There's so much you can get out of an advent calendar. What I'm actually thinking I might do, because this is definitely enough, I might make myself a pair of scrappy socks using the advent calendar leftovers. I'd probably still have leftovers from that to then put into a magic knot ball. So this will have done me, this advent calendar, this 20-gram advent calendar from Spectrum Fibres last year will have done me a Dust of Snow wrap, which is a big wrap. It will have done me a advent garland, Christmas garland for us, and probably a Christmas garland for a gift as well, and a pair of scrappy socks. And also, finally, I will probably put the ends into a magic knot ball, which means it'll end up going into my Mild Mayhem blanket as well. So there really is a lot of value for money in some of these advent calendars. Right, anyway, that's my plan. So, talking about the Make 9, let's move on. I thought I would do a quick Make 9 check-in. My Make 9 this year, as always, has not gone very well. I've not finished half the things that I wanted to get done as part of my Make 9. But I always think it's quite interesting to kind of check in and see where we've got to. So, if I pop up on the screen, look, if I move this way a little bit, I will pop up on the screen just there, my Make 9 image that I created at the beginning of the year. So anyone that doesn't know, Make 9 is kind of it started out as an Instagram challenge where you picked 9 things that you wanted to make within a year, and that's the plan. And amusingly, a couple of people I know said a couple of people who aren't particularly big in the knitting community, so more kind of personal friends, quite early on when they saw me posting sort of Make 9 stuff on Instagram, they were like, wow, you're going to knit 9 things. That's a lot of things to knit. And I was looking through my notebook today. I've got just a big notebook where I keep like my log of what I've knit. It's not very artistic or fancy. But I do a list of finished objects. So I've got like 2020 finished objects. And I just write in there, every time I finish something, I just write it in, pattern, if I'd done a pattern, and the yarn I used and stuff like that. This includes stuff that was cast on in 2019 but finished this year. So this year, so far, I have finished 22 things. I have finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pairs of socks. I have finished 2 pairs of kids' mittens, my Starflake mystery knit along, my Pure Joy shawl, the advent blanket that I was knitting with the Henny Penny Makes advent calendar from last year. I finished a pair of mitts, the Country Garden mitts. I finished my mystery gnome, my Nikki mystery gnome, the Dance Like No One's Watching cowl, the Fin hat, and the Imply hat. So actually, when you look at it like that, that's a lot of things that I have finished, even though I feel like I've not finished anything big. There's a lot of things there that have actually been finished. 22 things. So I was looking back at what I'd finished. So anyway, yeah, Make 9. I've got myself all muddled up now, haven't I? Make 9. It started out, as I said, as an Instagram challenge where people create a grid of 9 things that they want to finish. I think there's a sewing version as well now. And the lovely Emma of Eldenwood Craft has a year-long Make 9 knit along that she runs. She's run it for the last 2 years at least. I think maybe even this might be the 3rd year she's run it. Where you create your grid of 9 things, and throughout the year you can enter it in, and she does prizes, and at the end, if people have finished their Make 9, they can enter for prizes as well. I will not be finishing my Make 9. But it was always fun to sort of start it at the beginning of the year, and I try and do it low pressure, so if I don't finish it, it doesn't matter. It's just interesting to give you an idea of the things you want to knit. I always think it's interesting to look back on as well and see like what you thought you were going to knit and thought you wanted to knit and how that changes throughout the year. So my Make 9 was a garment for Arthur. I've not even cast a garment on for Arthur. Although Tom might manage to finish a garment for Arthur this year. He is just working on the first sleeve of a flax light for Arthur, which is really cool. He will hopefully get that finished this year, and maybe I can tick that off my Make 9 because I taught him to knit this year and he's knit a garment with my support. So does that count? I wanted to knit 2 garments for me. Initially I had the Angelus Novus cardigan on there. That got changed up for the campsite cardi. I started the Angelus Novus and I just didn't get along with it. I'm not quite sure whether it was something to do with my gauge or something, but I just didn't get along with it. So it got ripped out, and that is the same yarn that is now my campsite cardi, which I hopefully will have finished by the new year. That is my goal, is to get that finished this year. But then I had also wanted to knit a second garment for me, which isn't going to happen. I wanted to knit a pair of mitts, which I did do. I have finished the Country Garden mitts, and I will also have finished the Agrin mitts by the end of the year as well as potentially maybe another pair or 2. So that was quite achievable. I wanted to knit a toy or a gnome of some kind, and I did. I completed my, I've forgotten what she's called. What are you called? I've forgotten. I did this one. Actually, having said that, I looked back. Was there another gnome this year? Nikki. No, this is Nikki. This is Nikki, the mystery gnome. That's fine. I have completed this gnome, so that got ticked off my Make 9 list. Oops. And while we're talking about gnomes, there is an Advent gnome. I don't know if anybody that loves the gnomes has seen it. I'm sure you all have. But Sarah of Imagine Landscapes is creating an Advent gnome. The pattern is available to buy right now, and it's going to be 24 little bits, I think she said, throughout Advent. There'll be 12 clues and 12 other like little bits of a story that kind of go with the gnome. I have signed up for it, and I will definitely be doing that. I am not committing to a lot throughout Advent because with potentially moving house and everything like that, things could be a bit chaotic. But I am hoping to do the gnome, and I will pop a thread up at the beginning of December, or maybe a little bit before that. I'll pop a thread up in the Ravelry group because it was really fun having the little chatter thread when we were knitting Nikki. So anyone that wants to join in with that, I will be popping a thread up in the Ravelry group for that. Anyway, what else did I want to knit? I wanted to knit 10 pairs of socks. Now, I know I just said I finished 12 pairs of socks. In my Make 9, that counts as 10 pairs of socks that were both cast on and completed this year. So there are 4 pairs of socks that I finished that I'd started in, 4 pairs of socks that I finished that I started in 2019. So they don't count towards the Make 9, but I have completed 8 pairs of socks this year, I think. Or did I say 9? No, I think it was 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I've completed 8 pairs of socks that were cast on this year. So that could be doable. I could get that done by the end of the year. I've still got my Halloween socks on the needles, the shorty socks. They count. I've finished the heel of the second sock, so that shouldn't be too much to finish. And then I just need to cast on and finish another pair of socks. So totally doable this year. Then I wanted to knit a hat. I've actually finished 2 hats. I've finished the Finn hat and the Imply hat recently. So that is a good start. And then there was the Garland. The Christmas Garland is on my list. So hopefully I will get that finished before Christmas. And that can go on our Christmas tree. So again, that's not bad. And then the other thing on there is the Adama cowl. And I have wanted to knit this cowl for absolutely ages. I was gifted this yarn ages ago. I was gifted this yarn as part of a swap. I can't remember exactly what swap it was, but this is Malabrigo worsted, and it is the Kaleidos colourway. So yeah, as I said, Malabrigo worsted. It's the Kaleidos colourway, and this yarn is exactly the right thickness and exactly the right amount of yarn to make the Adama cowl, which I really want to make. So I have dug this out of my stash, and I am going to wind it up. I'm going to have a little look at what needles I need for the Adama cowl, and I am going to get it on the needles. Even if I don't get it finished this year, I am going to get it started this year, because it is one of those projects that I really, really want. So I need to get on with it. Otherwise it'll never happen, and that yarn will sit in my stash forever. And it's chunky. I mean, it's a good... Is it a worsted weight, or is it... Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it is. It's a worsted weight yarn. I know that sounds stupid to say it's Malabrigo worsted, but sometimes they have different names for things, don't they? So it should knit up quite quickly. That's what I'm trying to say. Right, But yeah, that is my Make 9 check-in. So there's some things there like the garment for Arthur and another garment for me that's not going to get done. But hopefully the smaller projects I should manage to get completed. But it's always interesting to look back. Does anyone else join in the Make 9? And how are you doing with your Make 9 challenge? Have you thrown it out the window with everything else in 2020? Or have you managed to stick to it? I'm curious. Right, and then the final thing before I leave you, although I think I am going to pause the camera and restart it quickly before it cuts me off. The final thing is a little bit of shop news. I was just going to say that I have got a shop update planned for the 14th of November. So that is Saturday. Yes, that is this Saturday coming at 8 p.m. as always. It's just a little kind of restock shop update. I'm planning to put some scrappy boxes in, hopefully some kind of festive themed scrappy boxes. I am planning to restock a few colourways. I've had a request for my Joe colourway from the Little Women collection to be dyed on merino singles, so I'm going to dye up a batch of that. I'm going to restock Beth because Beth on merino nylon has sold out, and I'll have a little look at anything else that needs restocking. The minis won't be restocked right away for this shop update, but hopefully I will get them restocked for the shop update on the 5th of December. And I have also had a request for some Sugar Plum Fairy sock sets. So at the moment I have dyed Sugar Plum Fairy. I'm restocking it on merino nylon, and I have dyed up some minis to go with it so that I can create some sock sets for you all. I need to try and do more sock sets. I love a sock set, so I need to try and dye more. But yeah, that's the mini and that's the colourway, so that will be available. I think somebody wanted it on Stellina, so I will see what I can do about getting... I don't have any Stellina minis, which is a little bit of a pain. I'll have to dye full skeins of Stellina and break them down, which is not the end of the world, but it's just more time. And hopefully I will try and get that done this week. But there will definitely be sock sets on merino nylon, even if I don't quite get sock sets on Stellina. But yeah, that's it. That's everything, I think. I think that's everything that I've talked about. Yeah. Life news wise, just for anyone that is curious, we are still waiting on the mortgage. Still. Apparently we should hear this week, which is good considering we've got a date set, or a potential date of the 27th of November. And obviously none of the contracts have been signed or anything like that because we don't have a mortgage yet. Dear. But anyway, hopefully we will get that all sorted this week and get a date and get things signed. Fingers crossed. Right. Thank you very, very much for watching. As always, if you are new and you haven't done so, then please, hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon and you'll get notifications of when I upload any videos. And hit the thumbs up button, give me a like. And yeah, leave me a comment. Come and chat in the comments down below because I do like to hear from you. And I've been very good this week and I've got back to all the comments. So thank you very much to everyone that left a comment. See you all again. See you next week, hopefully. Thank you for watching. Bye.